Martin Luther King and Lenny Wilkins mix. That's a good one. Lenny Wilkins and Martin Luther King.
How do I tighten this?
Hello?
Coach.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I got one of your biggest problems sitting right here next to me.
Man,
this cat, they wouldn't listen at the beginning.
I don't know if I was one of the biggest problems though. It was a long list of those.
No question.
What's up, Coach? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I agree. I don't know if he was the biggest problem.
But it's been almost 10 years.
Up, Ryan?
It's been like 10 years, man.
Longer than that.
Yeah.
Nah, it's longer than that.
I try to keep it at 10 though. Anything longer, they start to ask how old I am.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, OG. So we're going to kick it off with you already on the phone. And we'll just do our little pod intro. So you'll get to hear our theme music. You know, we got theme music. And then
We from the Big East. This has to be a street fight. This is why you worked all summer. This is why you grinded in the weight room. This is why you ran around the track. Answer the question. This is why. For the opportunity to play in the Sweet 16. Why not us?
We've been dealing with doubt since the beginning of this year. Embrace this moment. The doubt is not in our mind. We have the most confident team in America. Go out and play with that passion. Go out and play with that joy. Go out and play with one another. Doubt, man. Doubt. Don't ever doubt us. Let's go.
And we're inside the KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. It is a second round Midwest Regional. 4th seed Providence, 12th seed Richmond for a shot at the Sweet 16. Durham left-handed into the forecourt, going to launch a three. Oh, yeah!
Try's got some momentum going.
6 to shoot. Bynum finds Horkland, gets off the deep three. Oh,
Money.
2 in a row! Bynum works to the left, jump pass back to Minaya, gets an open look at three. Yes! Oh, the threes are raining in Buffalo. And Providence will take a 15-point lead into the locker room at halftime. They are 20 minutes away from their first Sweet 16 in 25 years. 6 to shoot. Reeves looks for Al, sets, fires, deep three. Yes! The Friar lead is 20. Right wing, Horkler elevates three, got it! And they are shooting fancy in Buffalo. Reeves open three, right wing.
Ooh,
yes!
AJ.
And the lead grows to 27. Green sets the screen, Bynum hits the three!
I mean,
Holy moly!
You can't make this up.
That's it. Providence moves on to the Sweet 16. They defeat Richmond 79 to 51. And the celebration is underway in Friartown West.
I just want to say hi to Wally. Hey, Wally, what's up?
King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. Ball is life, and that's a fact. And a baller's life, about that exact. King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. There's a time to score and a time to assist. Ain't no I in team, let the winning commence. From generation to generation, game don't stop. The new and old school got the game on lock. It's all legendary, it's all necessary. We all been all-stars before February. And after that, King and Yates, after racks. But really trying to get some wins, not just padding stats. Two basketball lovers through happenstance. Built a bond that led to greatness that advanced.
yes, sir. BTG Nation, what's up, man? All right, everything sounding good? I think we locked in here.
Hey, push that button, bro.
It's all locked in. We good.
Right.
Red buttons here. The laser vibes are going. We back in. Just to let you know, the people who watching the last episode, it was like, yo, it looked like Coach King was taking a nap on the pod. I was like, he was probably going through an expense report in his head. It looked like he was stressed out. He was probably going through some numbers over there. That's all that was, man. OG, we made it back, episode 7, season 3. You know, you guys that are part of BTG Nation, you know this is episode 7, season 3. We're live from Dubai. You know, we're giving you our journey as we build Hoop Mountain Dubai. That's hoopmountain.ae, Hoop Mountain DXB on Instagram. Man, how you feeling? This is an episode where I feel like it's one of them ones. You know, we had sometimes, it's like we've been in the gym all week.
No.
Everything about the basketball been feeling good. It's like one of those days when you go into the game and you know you're gonna go off.
Yeah.
It's one of those episodes where I think it's about to be filled with some gym.
With the weekend we just had,
Yeah.
I feel like the next term's gonna be crazy. Because a lot of people out there don't know what we do after practice. We might have 4 hours of practice back to back to back to back. And then we had 2 days where we had 13 games. 13 games. People don't know about that. And that's after coming back from the tournament in Abu Dhabi.
And listen, 13 games as a player and as a coach is 2 different things. We've been on both sides. Now, when we used to have to play those games and tournaments, that was different. Now, coaching it's a different type of stress.
Yeah.
You know, I told you I got flustered in the huddle trying to draw something on the board. First time, right? We ended up winning somehow, some way. But I'm trying to draw up a play in the huddle, right? And I'm thinking about, you know, my basketball foundation, right? So I'm using terms that we're going to set a back screen here. You set the stagger on the left. You come off ball fake. And then I'm looking at our guys and like, we ain't got there yet.
Yeah. You can save that one.
We can save that one. We can save it. I just make sure you catch the ball.
Yeah. Keep that for our U19s.
So we'll get there. But man, we're not even gonna waste too much time. We got a lot to talk about. We actually been talking about what we're gonna say on this episode since maybe Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
And
this one's been bubbling.
Yeah. So we got a special guest with us right now. You know, we've been talking about him periodically throughout the season since we first started.
Yep.
We've been graciously, you know, blessed with having Tierra Pratt on the episode before, live and in person.
Yep.
You know, one of our legends from our city. And, you know, I talk about my basketball foundation, and you guys see Coach King here. And then I talk about AAU and my uncle. And then I talk about another guy. You know,
don't forget Coach Jones.
Yes,
Coach Jones twice.
Coach Jones Coach Jones, the OG. You guys know he giving us the dope Magic Johnson stories, Moses Malone stories. Shout out to Coach. We got to check in soon.
Yep.
But today we have a special guest. If you guys remember in prior episodes, Coach King described him as a mixture of Martin Luther King and Ty Lue or Lenny Wilkins. You know, one of the greatest motivators I've ever been around.
For sure.
You know, as far as everybody that has experienced me on the court and off the court as coach now, this is another pillar of my basketball foundation. Today we are lucky and blessed to have on Coach Ivan Thompson, who is the assistant coach at Providence for men's basketball, who has been doing a hell of a job these last 3-4 years. So let's get a round of applause in there. Yo, Coach Thomas, you here with us?
I'm here. I'm just taking it all in, listening to the young fella, man, who articulated himself. We all grown up now.
Yeah.
Who dropped the hook for this? Who built the hook? That's pretty fresh.
You know what's crazy?
Yates and King.
This is the thing. It's a peer from TC, right? He's
Who built that?
He's in Australia. He was rapping while we were in TC, right? And you know how during that time, he was always a fan of the basketball team, showed love. And you know how you always made sure we show love to everybody in the community. He was somebody that wasn't necessarily crazy popular, but he and I bonded over music. He used to burn all the CDs, all the latest CDs, and he used to come to the locker room with like $2 and let us all buy them. And so now he's a rapper. He reached out to me when we were starting this, and he was like, yo, Yates, let me do something for you. And I was like, yo, cool. So, you know, Alexandria having his hands in everything right now.
Yeah, Coach, it was tough too, because our first theme song was from Jameson, Ryan's little brother.
Yeah, he did.
Younger brother now, let me say that. Mm-hmm. But this came through, and we had to tell younger bro, like, yo, you still got a little more time, because this is fire. Yeah. Like, we may never change that one.
Yeah, for sure. We got blessed.
Nah, that's good. Nah, I was like, oh snap. That was fine.
Yeah. So Coach.
Well, man, I'm happy to be here, man.
Man, let's talk about it. You can give like a brief timeline on our connection and then where you are right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, man, it's been almost like 12 years, but my timeline, I moved to the Washington D.C. area probably in 2000. After me and my wife moved from Chicago. She finished residency, and I moved there actually after winning a state title in Illinois. And then I was at Hayfield High School for a minute. And then as an assistant, then I took over a program in Edison High School that was struggling. And, me and Coach Jones, I remember you guys talked about Coach Jones, the OG. After my first year there, he became my assistant. And, we turned around Edison program. Edison High School. And so during the whole time, my wife was in residency at Johns Hopkins. And so I was doing my thing in terms of coaching, figuring it out, learning my way. I was actually a head coach at 26 years old. Didn't know what I was doing, but I had that guy you guys talked about, Coach Jones, by my side, but the one thing I did know was people and young people, and I've always been affectionate towards them and getting them to get the most out of, working together. So Edison High School was turned around, and then I had the opportunity to go to the Great DC Winds, which I embarked upon that challenge. And people don't know, I didn't actually want to go there right away. Coach Jones actually made me take the job because, as any young fella full with vigor and, a lot of, energy, thinking he can do anything anywhere. And actually having just beat TC to advance, I was like, I'm not going anywhere. We just beat y'all.
Right.
So I was at Edison, and Coach Jones was like, whoa. Listen. If you beat these guys with these dudes here at Edison, imagine what you could do with TC Williams. And all you. And so I said, you sure, Coach? He's like, listen, positive. I've been doing this a long time. I'm telling you. So he was actually responsible for me, nudging me out the door and convincing me to take the TC job. And then, the rest is history. We took that job, and I met an incredible group of young men that just, needed a little, just a small foot and push in the right direction to get things done the way we needed to get done. And we made history, which is, I don't think to this day, the things that you guys accomplished on the court, Ryan, in those 3 to 4 years, and I count 3 to 4 because, Coach King kept it going as long as they would let him keep it going. And you guys accomplished some great things with some interesting characters. We went undefeated in the district for 4 years. And we only lost to maybe 3 Northern Virginia teams in that time, and captured the state title, which had never been done in the Northern Virginia area. Not a watered down title either.
Please, hey, Coach. So I'm glad you said that because the errors that you had before our 2018. Actually, maybe last year, I got on live and I got on talking to Glenn Andrews, and Glenn Squeeze, a lot of those guys tried to tell us that our 08 year was very watered down and that we didn't play any competition. And now I told them, I said, guys, I remember what it was like going to college. And my freshman year, I didn't really have time to tune in to what was going on at TC. And so I was like, I know you guys didn't watch much of what we went through, but our schedule was serious. It was a real deal.
It was crazy.
And now that you're here, I would like to, I have one other question after that, but I would like for you to verify that our competition level was high in for that 2008 year as we went on to go 27-3 and just wash through everybody outside of our 3 losses.
Well, I know it meant something. You remember the exact record. I can't even remember that. But
got the ring in the house, man.
Yes, without a doubt, man. Every era thinks that their era is is the toughest one. But I can say this, you know, and I remember this vividly. You know, Marcus, I love Marcus to death, like a son, all you guys. And we talk to this day. Marcus had a tough feat getting through in terms of the people he had to go against. He had to go through this cat named Scotty Reynolds to get out, which they actually beat us. So he had to go through Scotty. I remember that. He had to get through Scotty that year, and they beat us in the regions. So we didn't even advance after that. We went undefeated, but then we ran against Scotty the first round, and they had to beat us. And then the following year, we went. That was
Cam Long. That was Mike D and
Cam Long. Yes, we went to Cam Long. They beat us. Freedom beat us. But even the talent that was there before which ultimately beat everybody, was down in the 757. And I'm trying to remember some of those guys. Man, they had some dudes that were you know, pretty good in terms of, you know, basketball. But hey Ryan, I will give you this. That year we won, that schedule we played Ed Davis.
Yes.
You know, did we play Ed Davis that year, Coach?
Yes, we did.
At Benedictine.
At their place.
Yeah, we played Ed Davis at Benedictine.
Yep.
We played Montrose Christian at home.
Yep.
Norfolk Christian.
And like, I'm sorry, Norfolk Christian, I will give you that you had the toughest route, period. Yeah. And not only did that team have the toughest route to get to the title, the teams we had to beat out of the first round. I ain't even counting Northern Virginia. I can't even remember who we beat to get out of Northern Virginia.
It was Langley.
But when we got out of Northern Virginia, yeah, we beat the brakes out of them. So that don't count. So, but when we had to start winning to get out, like, yeah, Marcus and them had to get through Scotty Reynolds, which they couldn't. But even Scotty and them didn't win at all because they had much better talent down 757. But when we got out of Northern Virginia, you had to go against a team called Kings Ford, right? Kings Ford had 4 Division I guys. I mean, one went to Marquette, one went to Cincinnati. They were some monsters. You hear me? And you guys beat them by 15. Then you flip around. You had to go against Petersburg. They had Sue Butler, who went, I forgot where he went. They had Frank Mason, who won a national title at Kansas.
And Big Range, who went to Tech. And the big guy went to Tech.
Yeah, then you had Big Range, who went to Tech. And you beat them by 15. Then you had to win the title going against
Bethel
High School, who had 5 Division I guys. So Marcus and them got nothing.
Yeah.
You had John Thale, who went to UVA. You had a slew. You had a couple of guys that went to like ODU, Brown. Man,
but
they can't even talk about.
And that's
just don't equate.
Those were just the monsters. We ain't talking about the other cats that did go to college. So they were from 1 to 15. They was monsters, man.
And so now that leads me to my next question, Coach. Oh no, go ahead. You have one more thing to say.
And I'll say this about that team. We were a team. Dude, it won't no close games. That's what people don't understand. It won't like we were winning by 1 or 2 points overtime. But dude, when we started our run, we beat Kingsport by 10. We beat Petersburg by 12. It was over in the first 8 minutes against Bethel. We were up by like 20 points.
Yeah.
Dude, we ran through. I think that's one of the greatest high school runs in Virginia history. To beat the teams that we beat, how you guys beat them, it wasn't even close.
Listen, Coach,
it just wasn't close.
I'm saying that based on what we did on the court and based on what our lives were off the court, there's a movie to be made, right? And so I know you write books. I know you write books, and I know what's going on. So I'm just going to wait because the story off the court goes along just well. You're talking about Coach Carter or whatever. Like when it's time to put everything together, with what you just said. There's a story to be said because it will definitely never be done again.
Coach, man, we needed your honesty, which you just gave us. But you started some shit, right?
No. I know, not yet. He ain't started yet.
We gotta get you back on the podcast with Glenn and all them now.
But no, this is my number one question, right? I had Glenn and all those guys, and now this conversation I had with Glenn and on live, it was like 200 people from VA, from the Potomac area, from people that watched us or whatever. They all tuned in because you know what the age-old question was 08 a better team than 07, right? Or who would have beat each other, right? And so I always tell them, I was like, look, I was a young guy watching. So I was at that 07 game, right? I was actually at the 06 game when they lost to Scotty because that was a deciding factor for me not to go to private school because that atmosphere was crazy. I was like, yo, this can't be felt.
Right.
This can't be felt at Episcopal.
Right,
like,
right.
This is a little bit different playing in Mason, right? And then I was at the game when Cam Long and that 6'4" center just took the heart from our squad. And I remember leaving and I was like, yo, I know I'm going to make sure I play varsity next year and this won't happen. But I also told him I remember being in open gym in the off season when Trav and Wimbush and all of those guys made sure they had their own 5 to go against that previous 5 and they torched them. And so I was like, listen, I know you guys, because Glenn just talked about individual stuff. I was like, look, you guys were solid individual team, right? But we played guys like you and we beat guys like you because we were better and we were smarter and we were more invested.
For sure, you guys, that team individually, pound for pound, they're more talented. Just in one-on-one, they're more talented. Mm-hmm. But collectively, you guys were unstoppable just because everybody had a certain skill set. Mm-hmm. Everybody knew their roles, high IQ, and both teams were well coached. So that negates itself right there. But when you talk about what you guys were able to do collectively, it wouldn't have mattered. Y'all beat them.
My argument was that I said we execute
I like
better.
To say it was the benefit of a process.
Yes.
So it's just like children. Like Marcus and them were the first.
Yes.
They was reluctant. They were still tied into like believing certain things. So it's hard to let old habits go.
Right.
It's hard to sacrifice who you are right now to guarantee who you need to become. So year one was tough. They started chipping away at it a little bit more in year two. But still, old habits are, hard to let go. Who I am, who we are, the individuality, it was still theirs. Glenn, like you said, you guys are right. They were talented individuals, but still, just to get over that hump and perform together as a unit, not quite yet. But then year three, I had all these guys who, like you said, watch the culture grow. Mm-hmm. And I contend really felt like, okay, this cat ain't giving in. He's going down here and I need to go to private school. Because I remember that conversation with you, Yates, about going to private school. And like, I can't remember, did you play varsity your freshman year or did I make you play JV?
You made me play JV. I remember, I tell this because we're gonna talk about Prime next, but I remember you telling me going into the summer and you was like, look, you're not gonna make varsity, but Rail is. And what was tough about it was Coach Hines was my JV coach, and Coach Hines was like playing mental warfare the whole JV year. He was like, the whole summer you should be lifting, saying, "Oh, Rail Griffin." And so you had told me, he's like, "Look, you're not gonna make it." And part of it was because I didn't come to the workouts as consistently because I had some bad influences from the city.
Oh yeah,
some bad people were telling me some other things, and like you said, like eventually I was like, "Nah, I gotta stick with Coach Thomas." But that 2008 year coming in, because I was a sophomore, I didn't miss one workout, not one summer league game, and I played in both summer leagues.
Yeah, yep, I remember that, man. So that was the difference. It was like year three. You guys was like, listen, this is it. We bond. We totally bought in to what it's going to take for us to be successful, and so I remember. I just remember that process, man. That process taught me everything about young people. That if you are relentless with them and don't waver. But y'all also knew deep down, as hard as I was, I cared and I was authentic. I never told you anything wrong. I never BS'd you. And, I'm just so happy you guys got the results, because sometimes you can work as hard as you want and you never get the results. It doesn't mean that you guys weren't a good team if we wouldn't have won it all. But, you guys ignored a lot and trusted and believed in our coaching staff. And, that team was just special. That was that was one of the hardest things I had to do thus far in my life, was to leave at that junction.
Yeah.
And, but sometimes, when it's time for you to move on, and it's something, bigger and stronger that you got to do. And that's what, I had to do, which, I'm sure you guys are ready to talk about that next segment with Prime.
Yeah.
So that's exactly probably what he's going through.
It's funny you just mentioned, for it being hard for you to leave at that particular time and that being one of the hardest decisions of your life in terms of your career. You being a devoted father, husband, now author, big time high school coach at the time. Now you're a big time college coach, and a businessman as well. And so that leads us into Coach Prime.
Yeah.
Because that's a similar situation that he was in. And, just like when you left TC, there was a lot of hatred, a lot of hurt feelings. And instead of people realizing that Coach Thomas gave us the best 3 years that we've had in the last 50 years in terms of athletics. And you changed a lot of lives on the court and off the court because you were a presence within the school and the community. And people didn't realize the void that would be left until you actually were gone. And they realized that, it's hard to fill the shoes, so we should appreciate the time that we had with him. And that's where we're going to go in terms of talking about Deion.
And then to add to that, right, because now that you mention it, there are a lot of parallels between Coach Thomas' time in Alexandria.
Yep.
And then when we come to Prime and Jackson, not the money part, because Alexandria has it, but the support around it. Right, we talk a lot about HBCUs, and then there's the culture around it, and how you say it all the time, being an HBCU grad, and so everybody that's watching, Coach King is not talking from behind a keyboard with no experience, but being in those offices, being directly affected, like the support from the community, right, was not always there. And for the community at Jackson State, we're talking about boosters, talking about government. We're talking about, whatever.
Alumni in general.
And in the same situation with TC, to where the community was taking for granted the leader that we had in this space and wasn't giving all the resources that, he needed. And may not be money-wise, it may just be general, look, make sure that this kid doesn't steer off path. Make sure he has that help outside of here. Yeah. Instead of saying, look, you guys don't need to listen to that guy. Yeah.
I can speak from experience on this one, Coach. Mm-hmm. I saw everything that you did behind the scenes. And that's when I knew, I said, we're going to win it all. Mm-hmm. The first time you interviewed me, we were in Bowie, and you were talking about your philosophies and how you would play anybody, anywhere, your discipline, and you're a teacher. And the first thing I said was, oh, you're just like John Chaney. Mm-hmm. And then once I got a chance to see you work, I said, oh, it's not just all smoke. He's actually putting the work behind it. And anything that happened at TC in a positive manner, even if you didn't have the full support of the school or community, you went out and made it happen on your own. Mm-hmm. And that's similar to what Prime has been doing. And people don't appreciate that. And, and that's just crazy that we don't give somebody their flowers while they're living, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what they did do. Yeah. Because, again, he fulfilled all his promises.
Yeah. So, Coach, from your perspective, because you are a college coach, you are at Providence, which is a big-time school in the Big East, legendary program with a black head coach as well, and a great Ed Cooley. And you guys reap the benefits of John Chaney, Nolan Richardson, John Thompson.
Yep.
Who am I missing, Coach?
I mean, even on the women's side, Vivian Stringer,
Al Skinner.
Yep.
The list goes on for black head coaches, during the 80s and 90s at PWI schools, right, that actually get a chance to impact the lives of who the best athletes are, by a wide margin in basketball and football, are from our community, right? So from the outside looking in, as a peer, what is your take on the move to Colorado from after his tenure at Jackson State?
Well, first of all, I'm very, very proud of Prime, and I'm a fan of Prime. So in terms of just even growing up, Prime, he lived he marched to his own beat, but he backed it up with the work ethic and style. And so, that's just what I believe in. Sometimes the more disciplined you are, the more freedom you get. And so Prime was a disciplined athlete in terms of, on the field. So it gave him to have a lot of freedom in terms of his pizzazz and off the field and how he dressed and how he carried himself. He was a two-sport athlete. You know how hard that is to do. And then, he just, I never forget, Prime, he had his own style. Prime said, you look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. You play good, they pay good. They pay good, you eat good. You eat good, you live good. I never forget that. I said I became a fan of Prime. So you know what, Prime? I mean, Deion, man, listen. The reason why it hurts so bad is because they loved him so much.
Yeah.
Any relationship that breaks up with passion, that started with passion, is going to end with passion. So that's why we're very passionate about, when I say we, the African-American culture in terms of the HBCUs, their passion, they feel like they have lost, someone that gave them notoriety, that gave them a voice and put, the hard work and the, just brought attention to some of the great players that have been coming out of HBCUs for a long time. But you cannot knock Deion. He's not leaving Black culture. In fact, he's helping it. He's helping it grow. He's given an opportunity for predominantly white universities to see and say, hey, a man of color can lead. He's very intelligent. He's very charismatic. Let me give him an opportunity out in Boulder, and let's see what can happen out here. So now, Boulder gets to see an African American man with charisma and power, and also intelligence, run their program, which will then, in terms, give another person of color an opportunity to show his progress and his ability to lead. Yeah. And Prime left Jackson State with a head coach, I believe, that was under his staff.
Yes,
so not only that, he built the leader very much similar to that I did. He gave another opportunity for a person to be a leader and keep the blueprint going. And so I think that's where a lot of the confusion within our own culture maybe comes from. They were very proud of Prime. And when you're very proud of somebody and passionate about it, you get hurt. And then when you get hurt, you say things that you probably shouldn't say. Yeah. But this man has an opportunity to go there and reflect and show the world that, not only am I an African-American player and a great player, but I have a heck of a mind for leadership and touching young people's lives through the gifts of football. Yeah. And that's what he did. And that's what he's going to do out Boulder. And he's going to do great things, which is going to hopefully give us opportunities to other, African-American football players with basketball, coaches and tennis coaches or whatever, an opportunity to go into predominantly, cultures where they haven't allowed us to lead and have an opportunity to showcase our talent as leaders. Man, and you alluded to something, Ryan, which is it's funny. The culture is the sports industry is filled with a lot of African Americans as players. Mm-hmm. Somehow we have to convince them that we're capable of leaders as well.
Man.
And I think Prime is doing a beacon of light for that because he was a heck of a player. And not only is he a heck of a player, but he's a heck of a leader.
Man, so I sent Coach King the video of him talking to his Jackson State team and talking about, he was leaving. So we want to hear from the horse's mouth. The very first line, he says, in this game, you either elevate or get terminated. Right. And Coach was like, that's all I needed to hear. Because I think at times we use our emotions. We let our emotions dictate how we want to respond to something. But as Coach and I've been learning, working alongside him as business partners now and not just as player coach, when you're making these business decisions that are for the greater good, you can't let your emotions dictate how you're going to respond. Because at some point, for a case in point, Grambling State, they had Doug Williams there, and I know this because my mom was a big sports head, so we were watching things early. And so, Coach King reminded me that at Grambling State, and this is Doug Williams, 3-time SWAC Player of the Year, legendary Redskin quarterback, Super Bowl champ. And they pushed him out. This is a guy that, that was mold in locker rooms. He wanted to use his own money to pay for it and get it fixed. And they pushed him out of there. Right. And this is somebody that you don't see many people talking about anymore or, speaking to his good graces about things before. And so when we look at Prime did not have to start at Jackson State University. This is Deion Sanders.
Right.
You just talked about it. Like, Prime is bigger than Jackson State, but he goes there. He takes half of his salary and donates it back to the campus. He gets the entire SWAC conference, Pepsi, Procter & Gamble, and American Airline sponsorships. And then he brings College Game Day to Jackson, Mississippi, which is going to bring that city $6 to $8 million in revenue, right? He gets all of those players NIL deals. And then he leaves behind a program to let another Black man step up into and continue to push forward, leading that same culture. And so taking it further, Prime says he wants to win in every aspect of his life. He said it 1 million times. I have a $20,000 recruiting budget and I'm competing with Nick Saban. What could happen if you give me the same numbers that he got? And so as a competitor, Prime has to go up to the top, so he can prove that he is who he says he is, and then he can allow everybody to see it. Because you're right. I've said it before, Coach. If I knew in high school that I could be James Jones or Rich Paul, if I knew in high school that if my pro aspirations didn't work, but I can get into the front office, me being a basketball geek, if I knew that ahead of time, that would change up everything. And so being able to see Prime, who's going to bring his social media team, who's going to bring all of his guys and trainers with them to the PWI, man, that's going to feel good for the next generation, especially in college football.
But not only that, and I just allude, I fell in love with Prime as a player. I took a little bit of his swag, and into my leadership thing. But now the next generation is going to see the swag of Prime as a leader. And so he's going to instill leadership that, that they want to aspire to be. Like with me, I can be honest, I never wanted to go to the NBA. I was just an okay player. I wasn't a great player. My number one thing when I was a sophomore in high school, I wanted to be like John Thompson. I wanted to be a coach. And I remember watching him not take shit from anybody. And, he just was on the sideline and he didn't take shit from nobody. He didn't take crap from no coaches, from administration. He coached his players up. The Hoya paranoia, I was so in love with that. And then, when Allen Iverson and Alonzo Mourning, those guys from my area went to, play for him, he was the reason. He was the man that I saw on TV. That's what I knew. That's what I wanted to do. I knew, I wanted to be that. Right. Someone that made a difference in the community and in the lives of African American men. I wanted to be like him, and I remember being in geometry class vividly when somebody, my geometry teacher said, "Nah, you're never gonna, play in the NBA with these grades, and I told him I don't want to play in the NBA, but I might coach there. So that wasn't my goal. I wanted to be a coach. I always wanted to be a coach. So I think Prime doing what he's doing will inspire not just coaching, but leadership, that you can lead with your own style and business and whatever. And I think it's a great thing. I really think it's a great thing. And I think the controversy behind it lies because of the passion behind it.
Yeah.
We were and we are proud of Prime when he was there at the HBCUs. And I'm speaking to somebody who knows when you saw Prime doing that, Coach, it's a certain amount of pride that you have as an African-American man that he's doing that for us at our institution at an HBCU. I didn't go to an HBCU, but I spent enough time on HBCU campuses as a capo, so I understand it, trust me. But it's pride and it was passion. And so when you got that much, pride and passion for a person, it's just like a divorce. That's why a divorce becomes bitter, and it's bitter and it's messy because you were in love at the beginning and now it's over. And so it's bitter. And so that's a little bit where we are now within that. But like you said, Coach, you have to take a step back, take a deep breath, and look what the man has done for HBCUs and that league and that university and those players that had the opportunity to play for him there. Right. And experience that within an African-American culture, within an HBCU. They probably had the time of their life. Right. And other players that will come afterwards.
In Jackson, Mississippi.
So, Coach, 100% spot on with everything you just said. But let's go back to what you said when you first aspired to be a coach. You watched John Thompson on the sideline when you were younger. This is what people don't see or right now don't understand in terms of the big picture. If John Thompson stays on the high school level and he becomes one of the greatest high school coaches of all time, you may not get a chance to coach right now because you wouldn't have had anybody to look at to aspire to be. And so thank goodness that he did leave his school to go coach at Georgetown. So that way you could see him and aspire to be something greater in terms of the black coaches, right? And then it's a domino effect. We don't have John Thompson, then, we don't have basically the Black Coaches Coalition, with John Chaney and those guys. And then we don't think about the players that have impacted the culture. Mm-hmm. We don't have Allen Iverson if we don't have John Thompson.
No Bubba Chuck.
Because nobody else is going to give him a scholarship with his situation, and so we have no idea what's going to happen with Deion at Colorado, but we do know this. It's going to be him giving 110% like he did at Jackson State, but it's going to be at a much grander scale, and he'll be able to have more of an outreach now and be outspoken. And we have some wealthy coaches on the college level, but we don't have anybody doing it the way Deion does it, and that's his own way and being outspoken on certain topics. And that's what we need. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm so excited. I can't wait for you to lead a program one day because I know what's going to happen behind it.
Man, that's my next question.
Yeah.
Like, as you mentioned earlier that you started as a head coach at the age of 26. What's ironic is a peer of mine, Trey Ford, he's now the head coach at Edison, right? He played at Stewart. And I played against him. He's at Virginia Wesleyan. He's a young guy, full of energy. His staff is young, all his boys, and he's starting out his head coaching job and stuff there. But I always tell Coach that he dragged me into this because I never wanted to do any coaching.
Shut up.
Because, I was still, I was like, man, I don't want to deal with any of this. But luckily for me, my basketball foundation is you, Coach Thomas, Coach King, and then my uncle Roland Houston, who's, now leading the NBA Academy in Africa. And so
Roland, yeah.
And so like for me, even though I didn't want to be in there, it was kind of like the stars were aligning anyway because I was just giving so much. And all of my OGs say the same thing. The only way you need to repay me is to pay it forward. Right. And so I was doing it anyway. But now that you're talking about leading a program, and you know, getting yourself prepared. Maybe you already did, but what's it going to be like, or what is that process like, developing and getting ready to lead your own college program? And what have you learned being under Coach Cooley?
Yeah, well, you know, I've learned. I've had an opportunity to, you know, I've been fortunate. I've been under some great men, like mentors, like you know, Boo Williams, people. You know, Boo Williams taught me through AAU the business of recruiting. I learned recruiting a long time, so I was always being groomed. You know, my steps have always been ordered. You know, I learned the trait of coaching and discipline from Bob Williams, which was my first coach I worked under at Schaumburg High School. He was a great disciplinarian, and I learned if you discipline an athlete, then anything is possible. Discipline actually equals freedom. You know, the more disciplined you are, the more freedom you had on the court. And I don't know if you guys really understood that at TC right away, but you got it. Your group did.
Yeah.
Look how much fun we had playing, being disciplined. You know, it was just incredible. And then I learned, you know, from Howard White, every one of my basketball experiences. Howard was the VP of Brand Jordan, one of the starters of Brand Jordan, and he was a dear friend of Boo Williams, and I met him when I became the head coach at Kickintan down there. He was a graduate of Kickintan, and he taught me so much about humility and working with high-level athletes, stars, and the things that you have to do and break down. So I took all those combinations, and then I had an opportunity to meet Coach Cooley and learn the business of basketball at the college level. Because although, you know, I was a high school coach, and the confidence in me, you know, I'm much like John Thompson. I figured I could have went from a high school coach to Georgetown too, like John Thompson did. But I had to learn the business of basketball under Coach Cooley, and it is a business, but there is a certain level of authenticity and that never change. Young people are young people, and if you're real and genuine with them, even within a business, they will fight for you, and they will allow you to coach them and allow you to, help them reach their goals. I'm a servant leader, period. And I've always been that way. I'm a servant, even though I'm a disciplinary servant, I'm a servant. Anything you guys needed, Ryan, I would go out of my way to get it. And that is what attracted me to Coach King. You know, he thinks he was attracted to me more than I. No, he was a servant. The day he started, he went and got you guys bananas, juices to keep you guys fresh. He played overseas. He knew how to work you guys out without me ever having to say anything. He would just pick up the pieces of what needs to be done. That's servant. And when you work with people like that, you guys see that stuff. That's why you let me hold you accountable, because you knew no matter what the noise was in the neighborhood, you said, this guy is serving me. Yeah, he hard on me, but he's serving me. He helping me reach my goals. Yeah. And so, that's my next move, man. Whatever university I have the opportunity to lead, it's going to happen, because I just know this is my purpose. This is where I need to be. And this is what I command out of life, the opportunity to lead a college program, and it's going to happen. And so when the opportunity does happen, rest assured that I'm going to lead that university the right way. I'm going to lead young men the right way. And they say, what's the perfect job for you? I say the perfect job for me is where young men are playing basketball, because that's a job. You know what I mean? You understand? Like I'm a leader of men, and wherever men are playing college basketball, and that's where, a perfect job is for me. So I contend that it will happen. I contend that, when my opportunity comes, I'll be ready. And so, and I am ready. I'm more than ready. John Thompson was definitely an inspiration. And even from him being a high school coach to going to a college coach, that those things inspired me. And those things gave me the confidence to do it, and never let anybody tell you that you can't do anything or you're too old. They told me I was too old to become a college assistant, and when I did, because I refused to become a college assistant before my wife finished her residency and before my family got old. So, I said, whatever you guys believe. And not only did I become a college assistant, I went to the highest level at the Big East.
Yes.
And so they say a high school coach, doesn't jump from high school to college. Well, I did it.
Yeah.
So, other people's opinion of how their route, how their lives go, has no bearing on mine. And I just think young people need to make sure they understand that. Don't you give up on your goals. Don't you give up on your dreams. Don't you give up. You ain't going to get out of this life alive. So you might as well live your life to the fullest.
Man, what's crazy is we're sitting here talking to you from Dubai, right? And so as you say that, right, all three of us sit in a space to where we're living exactly what you said. You gotta move by the beat of your own drum. And what I talked last episode, we talked about the residual effect. What being around you and Coach King and Coach Jones did for a lot of us from that 08 team. You look at Josh, you look at Trav, you look at G, look at Wimbush, the names go down. All of us, we're still really close, but all of us live life completely different. All of us as men are taking care of our responsibilities a lot different. We're attacking goals a lot different. And that discipline that you talk about, it's instilled in everything now, right? Even, for me to be able to have Coach King call me right after I finished grad school and was like, hey, I'm going across the water to go do this. Like, come help me do it. And for us to be here, and then as you talk about discipline, it's a new generation of kids, and it's a new I don't know how to describe the Dubai kids, but it's different. It's different. But the number one thing that you said is that, being a servant leader and wearing your heart on your sleeve and making sure that, hey, I'm gonna be hard on you, but know that I got your back. That message always comes through, no matter where you are in the world. Because right now, Coach and I, we have over 200 kids. From only having 4 after the pandemic, we have over 200 with just us 2, and that's because the parents are singing our praises about who we are as individuals and the impact we have on their lives. And then basketball is just the afterthought. They are getting better at that too, but that foundation started in that gym in the garden in Alexandria.
Yeah, we work, man.
Basketball is just the catalyst. Man, it's just the catalyst to appreciate me. My father's a minister. He used to always mess with me and say, man, that court ain't nothing but your pulpit. You think it ain't, but it is. So it's just a catalyst, man, to touch lives and reach people and talk to people and show them the right way through athletics. But I'm a competitor. And so when it's time to compete, and just with a group of men in my foxhole, I love it. I absolutely love the act of leadership and doing that. And who would have thought this guy would touch the lives of guys that's in Dubai. And that's why I used to say, you guys, you're never going to be a victim to nothing. You're going to control your own fate. And that's just funny. That's what Marcus, he went through some difficult times with his mom, passed away, and Marcus is doing extremely well with his business.
Gangster. Yeah, we talked to him too.
All them guys just call me and say, hey, Coach, I remember I cannot be a victim. They remember all those speeches, and I go like, wow. I just go, wow.
That's the perfect segue, Coach, because we had a talk last episode about motivation and how difficult it is to keep a young athlete's attention. Because Uncle Ro used to always tell me, he'd be like, listen, my job is dependent on 19 to 23-year-old men, in college. Like, it's a lot that has to go with that. And so we were talking to Coach King, and I was like, I from my basketball playing experience, because I played with different coaches, and all of them had different leadership styles, and all of them were different types of motivators. But I said, there's one person that always stands out. No matter, I've been around NBA coaches, I've been around college, all level, but I don't know what do you do before you walk into that locker room to give that pregame speech, because there's the speech you gave right before we played Montrose when you quoted Wayne and 2 Chainz with I ain't never ran from and I ain't about to pick the day to start running. We'll never forget that one. And then the speech you gave before the championship game when you went down the line of all 15 of us and just broke it down. Like, that's why Coach King calls you Martin Luther King. Like, what about that? Like, what is it that you found that was your source of sharing your energy?
Man, let me tell you, man, it's funny, when I got to the college level and I first gave my pregame speech and here at Providence College. So, you know, Coach King, you coach college basketball, and so every coach has a scout. And so I remember when it was, you know, my scout. And so, you know, how we do it here at Providence is when it's your scout, you give the scouting report, and then you tell the team and you prepare the team before the head coach prepares the team. So I remember I gave my first one when he first got here, and they said, Coach Cooley said, "Are you going to do that for all of your scouts?" Yeah, pretty much. He said, those guys came out of that locker room with their hair on fire, man. I you know, that's just always been my gift, man. Like I told you, my father, I think about what I want to say to you before the game. And he said, you know, Ivan, it's gonna be hard to sustain that for 30 games. I said, no, it's not for me. Every game means something. There's a message for these young men to hear every game that I think about, whether it's through the weeks of practice or whatever. Like I said, that's words matter. My father used to tell me words are powerful in terms of establishing energy and purpose in life. Words motivate you. Words can change your life. You can hear one thing, one song, one something, and it can just change the perspective of your life. And so those words, I choose carefully. I think about when I'm about to stand up in front of you before we're going into a competition or battle. And I literally think about the source of what you need to hear or what I would want to hear. And, you know, and before we get at it, we go to war. But, you know, like a lot of people say, motivation can go away. But when you combine preparation and motivation, that's a dangerous combination. All week long, we prepare. It ain't like it's not like, Ryan, we were in practice jobbing. Yeah. We were in practice preparing. Yep. And then when it's time to play, I'm going to motivate you to the fullest and remind you of all the preparation that you put in to achieve your goal and greatness. So, I just think when preparation and motivation meet, then domination happened. And that's what happened in 2008. We had preparation, motivation, and we dominated the rest of the competition in Virginia.
And that's the one thing, Coach. That's who you were every time the players saw you.
Every time.
So it was nothing fake about it. And that's when, so no matter what you said, they always knew that was real. That was real.
We ready to go to war right now.
I know, I'm ready to play right now, Coach.
It's perfect timing too. So, Coach Thomas, before I let you head out, because I know you got to get to the Breakfast Club. I'm expecting a baby. I got married.
Wow.
I got married.
Oh, I know you got married.
Yeah, and we found out that we're pregnant. I think right now, like 18, 19 weeks pregnant. And so, this is a period in time where I need to be motivated and prepared, disciplined, and all those things. And I do feel well prepared for all those things now. But please share anything, whether you have the new books coming, social media handles out. You have to give me you have to send Coach King some videos, or I'll give you an email to send some videos so I can put it up on the episode. But yeah.
Absolutely, man. I'm proud of you, man. In terms of social media, it's Coach Ivan Thomas at, I think Twitter, or Coach Ivan Thomas on, Instagram. I don't even run those things. Somebody runs it for me. I give him my motivational quotes during the day, and he put it out. You know me. I'm a guy I'm a worker. I'm a leader. I know social media is the way of the future, and I have to. get better at it. And so I hire people to do it, and I just make sure that it reflects me. But you know me, I can't spend all my time following if I want to be a leader. So I very seldom, but I love communicating with my guys directly. And so, but those are the handles I'm on, and I'll send it to you. But I'll give you this advice as you begin to embark upon a family and children, and you understand that, same thing that I gave you, they respect authenticity when you make mistakes. Say you made a mistake, and they respect discipline and honor, and and the biggest advice I can give you is they don't know that you don't know, so don't be afraid to make a mistake. You know what I mean? That child don't know that you don't know. So just love it and care for it, and help it reach his goals, and just make sure they know that they can do anything that they want to do in this world, because they're loved and supported by their mom and dad. And don't be afraid to make a mistake, because they don't know that you don't know. Right. That child never been a parent before either. So right. I'm proud of you, man. And King, we are getting old. We're getting old. He's having children.
No, it's crazy.
It's love, man. Man, thanks.
Wow, that's love, man. I'm proud of you guys, man.
Man, thank you though. We tuning in. We're looking in for a heavy run in the Big East tourney and in March Madness. I think this is the time where you crack that Final Four. I know last year you guys felt like was the year to get it, but we watching. We'll be a Friar fan base back here,
all the way over here in Dubai.
Yeah, for sure. We're getting into the space to where we're getting our community more interested in basketball and actually watching the game.
Yep.
And so it'll be great for us to have them tuning in to watch. So OG, thank you, Coach. Thank you. We appreciate this. I know I'm gonna get a lot of texts. You probably gonna get a lot of calls because Glenn got a podcast and stuff too. So there gonna be some people like, Coach, what's going on?
But started some shit.
But it's good visibility, man. More people need to hear from you, man. Thanks, OG. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach.
Man, blessings to you guys, man, and I'm proud of you. If you guys need anything, don't hesitate to let me know. We'll figure out the schedule. Yeah. I'm never too busy for the people I love, and I love you guys. I
appreciate it, Coach.
Love you too, big dog.
Hey, Coach, don't forget to check up on that situation for us.
Was it the Jordan Brand situation?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Coach.
Hey,
thanks, man.
Big dog.
Okay.
Take care.
All right. Appreciate you.
Bye.
All right.
Man,
that was a blessing, boy.
Man, that felt good, and oftentimes when we're doing the podcast, I know with you and I, we sit and talk about how many guests we would have if we were in the States.
Yep.
Right. And Coach Thomas is one of those guys too. So like anybody out there listening that wants to get some sponsorships for some things, we not only got content, we're charismatic, but we got a Rolodex of people.
Yeah.
We can put it together. You just give us a little support somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Some things happen. We got some things popping and bubbling in Dubai too. But if we could do a summer tour in America,
it'd be great.
We would do some things, to bring it in.
And even if somebody has any questions about anything, they can send it in too, because listen, man, you heard Coach say we getting old. I know everybody.
Listen, for real.
So, somebody that we may know that could possibly help you, along your journey or a certain situation, whatever. But, reach out if you need to.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
That's the one thing, too, about Hoop Mountain. I don't say anything about what I may know or who I may know, because I think I'm getting to the space now, too, King, to where a lot of people that I played with, and like that where I was in school with, they're starting to be in positions, right? Like, you're talking about C-Web, right? Like, you got different people in different places. You're starting to see like, oh, that's
the network.
That's like you say, that's my guy,
right?
Like, that's my guy. And so, but between Coach King and like the people that access to stuff, when we tell you that we can help you get you to where you want to go, whether we know the person or we know the person that may know the person, it's real, So that's why we're so hard on you guys as well too. Because if we ever put our name behind the product, right, especially for me, I'm just getting started. So if my name is attached to anything, like I'm building a resume, a reputation. So if we're gonna send you, you're gonna be disciplined.
Right, for sure.
But man, that felt good. I haven't talked to OG since, man, I don't know how old I was.
That's a shame.
Man, he busy, man.
Nah, you gotta do a better job reaching out.
Come on, man. We tried. Then, I didn't know he didn't manage his social media.
Yeah. I figured that. I figured that. You know, and thank God for the managers we had back at TC, because, you know, that's when social media just first started to pop.
Oh, man.
And, you know, I didn't know it. So I used to have the managers monitor that stuff. Yo, coach, you know, so-and-so was on last night doing this. Like, what? Yeah. So that's how I would keep up with it. But, you know, I wouldn't have it now if it weren't for you. And we have to. Especially here. If we were in the States, I wouldn't even tell you to get it. Because we could operate. Right. I could just do this, and you could be, you know, like the Harnett, Mr. Kitchen, like, you know, behind the scenes type things. But now it's like you don't have no choice. Yeah, have no choice. But we learning some things. So, but yeah, again, we want to reiterate: shout out to Coach Prime. Yeah, right? Shout out to Coach Prime. Like, we got to understand that, you know, one, we're not to overstay your welcome, right? And then we got to know how to do good business. Right. Like, just good business. Like, imagine going into a situation where you got to build a tech company, right? And all you have to work with is $500,000, but your competitors have $16 million. And so the people that gave you the money and say, hey, I want the #1 tech company in the world, and they're giving you just $500,000, and luckily for them, you got a network to where you can reach out for yourself and build some things around it, and so you make something out of nothing. Right. But your health is an issue in between that time. You know, the people around you, health is an issue. Your team probably, they don't have health insurance because they don't come with that, because there's no infrastructure for that. Like, everything else that is a result of you having to work that hard. Well, you know, I'm glad Coach put it in the context of they were passionate about Coach, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, you can be passionate about somebody or something, and you happen to lose that, but you also have to be mature and unselfish at the same time. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about children here. We're talking about young men and women that are, you know, adults. There's young adults, but they're adults. And then we talk about the fan base. We talk about, you know, alumni or whoever, because there are a lot of older people that are commenting too on Deion. And you're supposed to know that, one, a coach's job is not easy. You know, he doesn't just show up on Saturdays for a game and let's roll. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that he has to do. And, you know, and that's time away from his family. No, you know, everybody's talking about the Jackson State kids. What about his kids? Man, you know, what about his family and his staff? You know, like that's the realest thing about everything that he says. Yeah, you know, Prime wants to win. Yeah, you know, Prime wants to do this and do that. But he said, I need more money for my assistant. Right. Serving leadership, right? Yeah. Like, you know, make sure everybody is taken care of. Yeah. And that's how you know somebody embodies the culture of the sport that they say they love. Because in football, you got to make sure everybody's taken care of, right? Same thing with basketball. I've been around you. I've been around Coach Thomas. I've been around programs that don't do it as sharp and as solid. And I've been around us, Hoop Mountain, and I've seen how surprised people are. Right. When we extend more, when we make sure that they have, if we're going to have lunch and there are other support people here with us, they're going to eat the same thing that we eat. Yeah, we all eating together. Yeah. Or we don't eat. Yeah, it's like, hey, if we're going to go get this, you know, cheeseburger, whatever else, everybody around us is going to get this. Yep. If you're going to ask them to come in and do some work to help us, you're going to get paid for it. Yep. And you're going to get compensated well, you know. And then if you stay loyal and consistent, you're going to get taken care of on the back end as well, because we understand the sacrifice you also took. Yeah. And so when we get going, we got you. That's culture, right? And so Prime, we know, we trust, we see. The proof is in the pudding. Yeah. As Patrick Beverly said, He ain't do you wrong. He did you right.
Word. Now, speaking of Patrick Beverley, let's get into that Lake show. Let's get into that. Listen, my mom, I'm talking to my mom, right? First, my mom get on the phone. She said, we look good. So look.
Hold on, man.
Hold on. I'm gonna surprise you.
All right.
I thought she was talking about the Lakers.
Right.
She was talking about the Cowboys.
Oh, she got you on that.
I said, yeah. She said, no, I'm talking about the Cowboys because they just beat the Colts 54-13 or something like that, right? She said, it might be time to go get you a jersey, get you a hat back. I said, maybe, man, but I know how that is.
You say your mom, man. I'm like, man, I ain't talking to her for a minute. She gassed me up, man, with this
cheddar biscuit.
This picture of these biscuits, these homemade biscuits. I was like, oh, she about to send those?
Yeah.
But man, I was like, damn.
It was like 6:30 too. I was like, Mom, what? 6:30 in the morning. But to say, you seen clap? Yeah, all good. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, we've been screaming from the mountaintops for 2.5 years. Like AD, dog, like you gotta come through, you know. And we've been saying the same thing. Like, look, if you just made the decision to be the best player, not just on the court, but in the league, period, what would that result in? Okay, let me say 10 consecutive double-doubles. The most recent double-double as of today's recording against the Wizards, 55, 21 boards. And then you talking about only missing like 5-6 shots from the field. Completely dominating the entire game. And what position is he playing, King?
5. Which, you know, in today's NBA, 5 ain't really the traditional 5 where you got to really put your body in harm's way every night. The game is a little faster, a little softer these days, and there aren't any bigs. So AD, come on, man.
And listen, but when I look at that, right, 2 things that happened to the Lakers this year that hadn't happened since Russ got there, and then even the year prior when it was just AD and Brock, right? Because we won the last 5 out of the last 6, and I'm already saying, and I said this before, right? We said it from the beginning of the year. AD has to have an MVP caliber year in order for us to win a chip, right? And I think he's, it looks like he's turned on that notch as long as he stays healthy, right? Russ is playing great off the bench.
Yep.
Russ in that same game had 15 dimes off the bench.
Right.
15 and maybe 1 turnover. Let's not negate that. Ever since he made that transition to the bench, he's been able to execute. Now, everybody was laughing at the beginning when the press conferences were happening, and Darvin Ham was like, I just got to get him to buy in. Cut hard, run hard, boom, 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 set good screens. And people were like, yo, you going to have him do what? Now, basketball players, that's just effort stuff.
Yep.
He ain't asking you to do anything that will be outside of your role, superstar or not. He's just asking you to, I just need you to go a little bit harder on these effort things so everything else can fall in place. And now look where we are. And so I want to highlight Darvin Ham's presence early. And if you were in Darvin Ham, what type of conversation did you think he had with those guys? With Russ first?
Well, you gotta let him know that one.
No. I want to know what you would have said if you was Darvin Ham.
No, I can't.
Come on, man.
I can't use that type of language here.
You know what I'm saying?
But
give me something.
You're talking somebody man to man, somebody who's a future Hall of Famer, and they've been accustomed to starting since day one in the NBA. You just gotta let him know that, look, man, we've already tried it the other way. That didn't work. Let's try something new to, one, resurrect your career right now, because it wasn't going to end well. And my job's on the line. If I just let it continue to be the way it was, I'm going to get fired. So if I'm going to get fired, I might as well try to do it the other way, which is the way I believe in. I think you'll be better served coming off the bench. I think the team will be better. And coming off the bench give you a little more freedom, because now you get a chance to see the game and see what's going on, as opposed to coming in and trying to set the tone early in a hostile environment. Because people don't realize this. Casual fans don't understand. He's playing his hometown, and he's still explosive, but he the way he used to be, where he can play with reckless abandon. So, that's the conversation you have, man. Just be real. Like, look, you got to come off the bench or you don't play.
Man.
And so, Russ has responded well. You could tell it was some bumpy roads at the beginning, but now it's starting to flatten out a little bit, and they're coasting a little bit, and that's along with AD as well. Does AD want to play the 5? No. But now he sees that, hey, I sit back and look at it. I only got to bang 3 nights out the year.
Listen, you talk about who you guarding at the 5, right? Embiid one night, maybe you got to play them 4 times, 3 times out the year.
Embiid, you may have to play him only twice.
Maybe, yeah, you know what I'm saying? 3, those are high times, and then you got
Joker 4 times,
yeah,
whatever, but
and then a couple, but Joker can't guard you for nothing.
Nothing.
Not moving his feet for nothing. And then you play the Bucks. Giannis is not guarding you. They putting Brook Lopez on it, right? And so Brook Lopez is up for Defensive Player of the Year, but you just gave him 42. And defensively, he's gonna,
What else may I do for you, sir?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just go through it. And then on the defensive side, you'll probably be guarding him. He's stepping outside, or you'll play against Giannis a little bit. But then you got Kristaps Porzingis. You got whoever the Portland Blazers are going to put out there. Whoever is that's out there.
Nurkic they're serviceable, but there's nobody outside of those top 3 or 4 bigs that can keep Anthony Davis from getting 30 and 15. There's nobody
at all. And the one schematic thing that I've seen that's been different, and I liked it a lot. And so you know how we've mentioned plenty of times before how we would like to see Bron initiate offense closer to the basket, play closer to the basket, whether that's mid-post or whatever things. So what they're doing right now, over the last couple of games I've been watching, is whichever side they're on, they're running a mid-post pick and roll with Bron and AD. A little bit off the elbow. So, they try to ice the screen and make them go baseline. Then AD is right there in the paint. Bron is dropping it off, right? Or Bron is already 2 feet inside the 3-point line already. So whether Bron gets off that screen and gets into the paint, that's a bucket or a foul, right? And then a pocket pass to AD, and it's somebody getting dunked on, right? So just immediately off that, we getting better action, more free throws. And Bron can still be who he is without having to come downhill all the time, right? And so I'm like, whoa, okay. I don't know who made that coaching adjustment or play X and O adjustment, but that right there, nobody's going to stop that in the league. No zone, no nothing. You talking about Bron, you hear pick and roll coming off that. And that even negates the fact that we don't have great 3-point shooting. Because you can't be that deep in the paint anyway on help. And quiet as kept, Lonnie Walker has been a very, very, very steady piece for us.
Well, the shooting's gone up too, though, because now you're getting wide open threes.
Take your time.
So it's gonna make everybody more efficient playing that way, and it's gonna save LeBron's legs too.
Listen, Bron, if AD stays this way, Bron can coast until March, maybe even April, and then now it's game time, right? And we picking up, and so shout out to the Lake Show.
See what they do,
man. And so this last part, we didn't even talk too much about Kyrie, and I think enough people said enough, but Kyrie also is still writing his story, and so I think is one that at the end of the season is when we look back at things in totality, he'll get the last laugh, right? And so now he and Nike have officially parted ways. Right. And so now Kyrie, I think his shoe was top 3 seller for Nike over the last couple of years. Even amongst players is more popular than even LeBron. And so his Kyrie 8 won't be coming out, which he didn't like the design anyway. But when he tweeted a gif about something about it feels good to have freedom, or freedom is more valuable than anything or whatever. I will say this, it's the perfect day and age to be an athlete that's free without any obligations to a sponsorship, because there's so many avenues for him to do what he wants now. He has the platform. There are more people in that athletic sneaker field. As long as you don't go to Under Armour.
Man, look, I hate to see Kyrie go from Nike because I like those shoes.
Yeah.
I had a pair.
Yeah.
You know, but there ain't nobody else gonna be.
Yeah.
Listen,
You don't think he get another deal?
Yeah, he can get another deal, but I don't. You can't go wearing them other joints after you wear.
Yeah, you definitely can't wear it. I'm just saying, do not go to Under Armour. That's all. Like, you go.
Man, you just talked all this trash about how Coach Prime is the guy. Now you trashing Under Armour.
Under Armour started as a football spot though, so football Under Armour is that guy. Shout out to Kevin Flack, right? But just don't go to Under Armour for basketball sneakers. And it's gonna be interesting to watch him play because he's gonna be. I think I saw something. He just got all black shoes with nothing on. It might be the Skechers. And he gave somebody 30.
Stop, man.
And listen, Kyrie giving you 30 in Skechers, it's a whole different story. That's a different type of Uncle Drew. But all black.
But then that makes us come back to something that happened in the past. Marbury used to give you buckets of these joints.
No.
Baby.
The Skechers is made better than the Marburys, though. Them joints used to fall apart. They might be better technology now. But hey, we might see And1 come back. We might see the Tai Chi come back, But that's gonna be something dope. And we won't talk about this next topic today, but I just want to leave this here with you, right? You're gonna love this, man. Let me see. All right, so I'm about to hook up the Bluetooth. And somebody has something very interesting to say about one of your all-time favorite basketball guys, right? Yeah, I know you're gonna love this one, man. So brace yourself. While you guys are here, make sure you guys are subscribing to everything. Keep listening, keep liking, keep sharing. Here we go, right here.
LJ number 1, MJ number 2, Kobe number 3, Steph number 4, and Shaq number 5.
Okay. You got Bron first.
Yes, because what Bron has done, like when you talk about Cicely Tyson,
yeah,
Bron started in 2003. By 2005, Bron was the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
In 2020, he was still the best player in the NBA. He was the best player in the NBA no matter what the game did. The game went from 2 slugs, like slow big man, to like a stretch 4 big man, to like back to 2 big man, to like big man.
Me and you out there playing the phone
like, and he's been the best no matter what. When you look at the teams that Bron has carried to championship, or carried to the finals. MJ didn't beat the greatest team ever assembled, nor did he run up against the greatest team LJ number 1 ever assembled every year. You look at the skill set that Bron has. There's nobody that has ever played the game of basketball that can do what LeBron James does on a basketball court. Nobody. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan could do just about all that LeBron James does. Except for he for damn sure couldn't pass like Bron.
They had a vision like that.
I love MJ. I think MJ is incredible. Like, MJ is MJ. Like, we all wanted to be like Mike. Like, I wear 23. Come on now. Like, we all want to be like Mike. But what LeBron has been able to do and how he can control a game and, like, to do it this long, like, MJ retired. Like, this shit's grueling. Like,
yeah,
going to the finals year after year.
So look, just prefacing it as we go into we'll probably talk it when we have our guest on, the Chicago guy, right? Because he the one who sent it to me and was like, yo, competition matters. Competition matters, and Bron played better comp than that. Everybody knows, and just so we're clear, when we have these greatest of all time arguments, I am only there arguing for Kobe. And his statement about Bron being the best player from 2005 to 2020, I think that's completely disrespectful to the era of being had in. And you talk about carrying teams to the finals and, getting there. Bron gets a lot of love for that. But I would like for people to pull up the roster that Kobe took 3 straight finals too without Shaq and won 2. Hold on.
No, man. Let's not start that stuff, man.
It's gonna be my argument for later. But I just want to don't forget that. Don't forget any of that. So I'm gonna put that in there because
that Lakers squad was far times better than what LeBron. Come on, man. You got
talking about
real vets on there.
Look, everybody always say that, but we look at those rosters that Kobe took to the finals and won with those 2, 3 straight and won 2 back-to-back. And if anybody else looks at those rosters, I don't know how many other people winning with those and against some solid errors as well. And Bron didn't make it to the finals when he was supposed to with that. That's
the problem because he didn't have. But we talking about the Lakers. We'll really get into it, but that supporting cast that Kobe had then, those dudes were stars at other locations, man.
Pau Gasol was a star in Vancouver, or whatever. Okay, but
those guys can play.
They won't start. That's all I'm gonna say. They get credit for what they did.
What I'm saying is those are guys that you bring in, and you're like, even you bring in Derek Fisher back. Those are guys who understand the triangle. Those are guys who know how to play their role. We're talking about guys in Cleveland. Man, there were some guys in Cleveland that you didn't even know who they were.
I get all that.
And it's Cleveland.
I'm saying if you look at every championship roster ever that won, Kobe took probably the weakest twice. 2 one back-to-back. And in the middle of an era when, supposedly he wasn't even the best player in the league at any time.
So all right.
That's all.
I ain't never debating that because we definitely won. But I'm talking about the rosters. We can get into that because I was with them all through the whole time looking at, and we'll break down the roster player by player, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. That Cleveland. People say Cleveland, that's a Cleveland mess.
I know I'm talking about what you win with. Like Cleveland, I get that, but I'm saying I haven't seen any championship roster that somebody won with be in comparison to every championship team. Kobe won 2 back-to-back and went to 3 straight with what would be the weakest championship roster. And we can compare it to all of them, but I'm saying to win with, right? But I'm not jacking that MJ.
Shit, because Zeke took 2 teams to the one back-to-back against the greatest teams of all time.
And you know what I say? I always give him extra. I always say that he don't get the credit that he deserves for doing that, right? And the only thing is that it was a shorter time period because he got hurt.
and something else we'll talk about too. People don't think this shit matters. Coaching matters.
100%.
Like and this is no disrespect to Cleveland, but man, come on, man, they ain't have no Phil Jackson.
Hold on. Ask KD and Kyrie if coaching matters. We can coach ourselves. Shit. You know what I'm saying? No, that's real, man.
Coaching matters, man. Yeah. Like, you got to have somebody that knows the pulse of the team that's been in those situations before, and
Yeah, but before we head out into the post-game wrap-up, we got to say this. The reaction that we're having as a community to Prime elevating after leaving his Jackson State in a much better situation than he found it. The reaction that, him being robbed a few times in Jackson State, having people steal from him, people taking for granted what he does for those kids. And making up their own think pieces of what he did and all that. And then just in general, how coaches, really good coaches, are being treated is part of the issue of why we don't have better leaders coming out of the next generation. Because those coaches play an integral part in providing a source of discipline, leadership, growth outside of their family home. We don't have as many people willing to share their valuable time with a group of young men and women because parents and communities take that shit for granted.
Right.
And it wears people down. Like, people are people. If I'm coming out, coach is coming out to coach, we're taking away from time with our family, taking away our just personal time to come out there and be there to give your child more and help her grow into whatever it is they need, support that.
Yeah.
Support that. We don't need the extra backlash and your own personal opinions about how something should go and how it should go. Like, especially if it's proven.
Yep.
Like, that's the type of stuff that will drain somebody. And it'll be like, boom. And then you'll start to see that now, instead of having the people that care, that are serving leaders like Coach Thomas, you have those opportunists who come out here and they're looking at your child or you're looking at this situation as a quick way to get some bread. And now your kid is just, it's dense. Situation is dense and not getting what they need out of there. Like, we got to do better at that, and that's not just a Black issue either. That's just in general when it comes to youth sports and supporting it. Technology is going to change. All that stuff going to change. But what we do with people, with actual humans, that's always going to matter. And the support cannot change on that because, man, you see it all the time. Right? You got to remind people, like, listen, I do this because I want to.
Yeah.
You got one more time before there is no Coach King here, and then what? And so, that heads us right into the wrap-up. Post-game wrap-up, OG. This is a good one, too.
I'm going to steal something from John
Perspective.
Chaney. And it's something he used to say to all of his teams. And this is something for our teams, that everybody has their own personality, everybody has their own skill set, and everybody has their own goals. And he used to say, we all want to do something that nobody else has done. But in order to do that, we all have to be on the same page. And so he would say, we're all in the same house, but we're just in different rooms. And so he used to say, just do what you do, you do what you do, you do what you do, and it all come together as one. We're all in the same house, under the same roof. We're just in different rooms.
I can visually see that, right?
Yep.
Like, man, that's I'm just gonna piggyback on what Coach Thomas said, because the one quote that he brought up that shout out to Marcus Lemon, aka Squeeze, that he said he always remembers is, don't be a victim.
Yep.
Don't be a victim. And that doesn't mean that, when you are hurt or when something does happen to you, that you can't be like, damn, like, boom. But more so like, no, attack. Go fight back. Don't be the one that's going to let that one bad play, that one turnover, that one, unfortunate event dictate the rest of your course. Don't be a victim, be on the offensive end. And so, BTG Nation, it's another one in the books. Man, we getting good at this. That's all I'm saying is, like, we getting good at this. I mean, we in there. We got like 57 episodes in, 57, something like that. Maybe more. Let me not be wrong. We might be at 61. We getting there.
We would have had 63, 64 if you pushed the button.
Nah, we still got those in, man. You living in the past, man. You gotta get out of here, yo. But
that's the only way to predict the future.
Man, get out of here. You been listening to Will Smith?
Man, listen, man. We can't move forward if we don't learn from our mistakes.
Oh, man. Also, my man Wade said he gonna make us a playlist.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put some pressure on when I live on there. You gotta make that playlist, big dog. I told him we got it. He said, what y'all like? I said, look, between Devin the Dude and Smith and Wesson and the new age Nas, like any of those things you can mix up in there, we all good. And so BTG Nation, man, live from Dubai, you know what it is. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all those things. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube for us. Hoop Mountain DXB. Check us out. Instagram, hoopmountain.ae online. We got camp coming up December 12th to 16th.
Yep.
All basketball, shout out to the girls for us to be able to do that. And keep going to our Hoop Stars. You guys are doing an amazing job,
Yep.
As always, keep it real, keep it simple, and keep going.
Player and coach, the brother to brother. They both got views that you need to discover. From sports, current events to just life talk. Whether you on a fast break or a nice walk, gotta tune in. You already know, G. This BTG Nation and you one of the homies. Just tune in. You already know, G. BTG Nation, the other ones in the nosebleeds.